Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to work with tables for digital planning or paper planners. So we'll go through how to add a table and how to format a table, adding rows, columns, etc. So stay tuned. All right, so today I have my workspace. I've designed my workspace with a width of 8.5 inches by 6.4 inches height. Now, usually when I'm designing, I like to, if I know I'm designing for a digital planner like an iPad or an Android device, usually what I do is I just take a measurement of the screen that I'll be seeing my planner on and just measure that out and then use those measurements to create my planner. Now if I'm creating my planner for printing, like a printed planner that I would write on to use with pen and paper, then I will size that to 8.5 by 11 inches, the regular size of paper. And then, you know, I would decide whether I'm going to be looking at those pages either in landscape or in portrait mode, and then put the measurements in Canva accordingly. So I've got my workspace here, and again, it's 6.4 inches by 8.5, and it's landscape. So I'm going to be looking at my iPad in landscape mode. And usually when you have a planner, you'll have a month. So I'm just going to add it just so that, you know, when we're adding the table, we can just, you know, work around the heading. So, you know, you'll have the month, January. And I'm assuming you'll have a year. And usually what I like to do is I'll like to add the following month, which is, in this case, would be February. Okay, so I've taken one of my calendars from another planner, and I'm just going to put it in here, and I'm just going to resize it. That way I have it here. Okay, so there is my month that I'll be looking at when I'm planning out, or when someone is planning out their month. They can just look ahead and look at the next month to see when the dates fall. Now, keep in mind that, yeah, it is small, and that's because you're designing this planner in landscape mode. So unfortunately, that's one of the things that you have to contend with when you're designing, you know, the fact that certain things are not going to be as big as other elements on the page. But, you know, with digital planning, you can just zoom in on that and take a look at that. Okay, so the tables. Where do you find tables? If you go under elements and we scroll down, we'll see a section called tables. And if you click on see all, Canva is going to suggest different styles and colors of tables. So depending on which one you want to use, this one is nice because it has a little bit of shading in there, but you can choose any of these that you like. Formatting them, resizing them, adding columns, adding rows, it's all the same method. So once you have your table, just bring it up and line it up. The next thing that I would do is just, we know we've got 3 columns here, so we need to add another 4 columns. So if you click on the 3 dots you'll get a plus sign with add column, so you can just add another column, and you can just, you know, keep adding columns until you have enough columns. So I just need one more column here, and there we go. And now you'll notice we have the heading and we have 3 rows. Now some months you might need 4 rows, and some months you might need 5 rows. So for now I am just going to now to add a row, you can click on the 3 dots on the side and you can just click add row. So now I've got 4 rows here, and I'm just going to add one more row just in case I need it. Okay, and now if you want to resize this, you can just grab the corner here and just click on it and drag it all the way to the end of the page. Okay, now if you want to add like a notes section, you could also do that and just drag it to there, and you can add like a notes section here, or you can drag it here and add your notes section at the bottom. Now you'll notice that we're getting that red line, and that red line just tells you that you've aligned up your elements with other elements on the page. So that's like a very neat thing to have. Now the other thing that you might want to also use are the guides, just so that if you're working from one page to another, you know where you've started something and you know where you've ended something. So that's good to have. So now when I add a page, I can see the guides and I can align things with the guides. Okay, now if you want to change the color of the shading in here, you can click one square and you can come up here and you can change that color. So we're going to change it to a lighter gray. And when you do that, you also have the option to come in here and kind of customize that gray to any shade that you like. Okay, but we're just going to leave it like that. So you'll notice that when you select to change the shading in one of the cells, or do anything, you'll get a little message at the bottom that says change all. So when you click change all, it just changes the shading for all of the cells that are similar. So the next thing I'm going to do is add the days of the week, and I used to like a Saturday to Sunday start, but after I started using planners, I really liked Monday to Sunday start. So that's why I'm doing a Monday to Sunday start, but it's all up to you, all up to preference. You set up the planner or calendar how you prefer it. Now we'll notice that the font color is a little light and it's hard to see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the color of that font to black. And again, when I do that, it's going to ask me, do you want me to change all? And I'm going to say yes. Now the next thing, now that effect doesn't work with everything. So obviously you have to try it out. We do know that when you are selecting something, you'll get the Canva toolbar, and all of these items are available with the Canva toolbar. So if I want to increase the font size to a larger size, let's say I wanted to make it 14, obviously it's not gonna change all of them, but if you want to change all of them at once, you can select one and then just shift and select all the rest and come back here, and you can change it to 14 and it will change all of them at once. So that is shift and your mouse click. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to key in the days of the week. So hang tight. I'm just going to come into the cell and just start keying in And to navigate from one cell to another, you can just press the tab key. Now you'll notice that we've run out of cells, so we need to add another row, and we can do that easily by just pressing the tab key. But unfortunately, we notice that the row falls off of the page and into the next page. So what we can do is we can just grab the little circle here at the end, and we can just resize it to move it up so that it all fits on one page. So let me just finish with the numbering. And 31. Okay, so you'll notice that the table also has these notches here, and that's basically for cropping the table or the row or the column. So when I click on the little notch and I move it down, it resizes that row for me. And I can do the same here, except that this row now will not be the same size as the rest. But you know, if you ever encounter that problem, what you can do is size rows equally, and then it will just resize everything for you. But you can just grab the corners here, and you can do the same thing here. Now let's say you didn't want your numbering to appear in the center. You wanted it up high. So what you could do is you could just select all of the columns. So click the first cell, and then keep your shift key. Keep your finger pressed on the shift key, and then select the last cell, and that will select the whole area that you want to adjust. You could then go up to alignment, and you could align the cells or the text the way you like it. So I'm going to adjust it to the right, and then I'm going to move it up to the corner. And I'm going to do that by selecting the spacing and coming to vertical alignment and selecting this one up here. And so now I've got the numbering right in the top right hand corner, which will leave me space to write in the cell if I wanted to. Now if you wanted to change the font of the number, you would pretty much do the same thing. You could click your first cell, and then keeping your finger on the shift key and selecting the last cell by selecting the whole area, you could just come up here to the font, and you can change it to whatever font that you'd like. Now let's say I wanted to create a weekly planner. Okay, so I'm just going to come on to my next page, because I'll just show you how you can change the format of the lines and the border. So if we're creating, let me just take a copy of this, just so that I have something on my page here aside from a table. So let's just call this weekly 2023, and maybe that's, let me just make that smaller. All right, and I'm going to add a table. For this page, I'll only want a one column table here and a one column table here. I'll just get rid of one column, and I'll get rid of this other column. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for right there. And now I'm just going to make a copy of that, because what I want is to just have like two columns here. Okay, and I'll just put that there so that I can show you a couple of other things with this. Okay, so here in this case, I've got two tables side by side. And you can check the height and width of the table when you're moving it, just to make sure that they're kind of the same size. But here I've got two tables. And now what I want to do, of course, is on one of them I'll need 3 cells, and on the other one I'll need 4 cells. So I am going to remove a cell from this one. So what I'll do is I will merge these 2 cells, and that will get rid of one of the cells at the bottom. So now, of course, the cells are not evenly distributed. Okay, and so now what I'll do is I will size these rows equally. So I can do that by just coming in here and just selecting size rows equally, and then it'll size them equally. I'll do the same over here. And now I'm just going to add Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay. And again, I'm just going to move it to the upper left corner. So I'm just going to click on all my cells. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to come here to the spacing and move it up to the top. Okay, and I'll do the same here. All right. Now in this example, what I want is to have lines, the lines that are horizontal. I don't want the lines on the side. So let's take a look and see how we can do that. So when we click border, we've got the border color. So if we click on the border color and we say white, we've now changed all of the border to white, but that's because we've got that selected. So I'm just going to undo that, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to select the borders, and again, what I want to change is, well, I want to change the left side to white, and then I want to change the right side to white, and let's see what happened. Okay, so there we go. So I've gotten rid of the lines on the right and the left, and I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to come back up to borders. I'm going to select this to change the left border. Come here, I'm going to change it to white. Now I'm going to select the right border, and again I'm going to change it to white. And there we go. So there we've changed it again. And again, it's up to your preference how you want to set this up. Now, let's say we wanted to change the thickness of the border. We would come back up here, and over here are the border styles. So let's say we wanted a thicker border. We wanted 5, to increase it to 5. Okay, that's what it would look like. Now let's say we wanted to have a dotted border. So we have these options too, right? So here, that's an example of what it would look like if it was dotted. What else? I mean, that's pretty much it. If you don't want borders, you can just say no and it'll remove all the borders. If you only want to change the inner borders, mind you, we don't have any because we're only working with one table, with one column. So we don't have any inner borders on this example. But if you wanted to, you know, change just the inner borders, you can do that. If you want to just change the outer borders, you can do that too. So let's say I wanted to change it to purple, the outside border. There we go. It was changed. Now keep in mind I had dotted. So when I select this again and I go back in here and I want a straight line, that's what this is going to look like now. Okay. Let me bring that up to 5. Okay, so that's what it looks like with a 5 border. Now you'll notice that there's a table spacing up here, and what this does is it will adjust the spacing in between your columns and your cells. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place borders in here so you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, so let's say I had all of these cells selected and I wanted to change the spacing. So there's table spacing, and what table spacing does is it just inserts space in between the cells. So when I increase the spacing, that's what I'm going to get. So really, in retrospect, we could have created this effect with one table and just by creating space. And you can try that out on your own to do that. Then there's the cell spacing, and that basically determines the margin between the text and the border. So depending on where you want text to appear, you can adjust that accordingly. All right, now when we're formatting a table, you'll know what's available for different effects based on what's on the Canva toolbar. So these are all the effects that are available on the Canva toolbar. Okay, now I hope you found this video helpful. This is pretty much all that I have to share with regards to tables, formatting, and such. If you learned anything, please do hit that like button and subscribe to receive updates. Until next time, bye-bye, my friends.